What's up, everybody? This is Chris Albert. I got a question today about that new study that was released by the USC Institute of Longevity. Basically associates eating meat, getting protein from animal sources, higher levels of protein from animal sources, with a higher overall cause of death and a higher death from cancer rate. Now, let me just tell you a little bit about this study. I'm not going to try and get too technical. If you want to message me, and I can get technical with it if you want, but I'm not going to get too technical for the general YouTube population. This study followed 6,000 people around. These people were aged between the ages of 50 and 65, and it basically ran a type of model, a mathematical model on the data produced by these people. It was called a hazard regression model. Basically, the way it works is you look at the hazard that something will happen over time, and you're able to put these different variables into the model and control for the likelihood that these independent variables created the dependent variable, which in this case was death from cancer or overall death. And so they looked at percentage of calories coming from protein, percentage of calories coming from animal protein, percentage of calories coming from plant-based protein, percentage of calories coming from carbohydrates, and percentage of calories coming from fat. They also controlled for smoking. And they basically found that over a 20-year period, people who consumed more animal protein had a higher risk of overall death, dying early, and a higher risk of death from cancer. So I got a question from somebody. He's like, yo, what should I do? What should I do about my protein intake? Here's the most problematic thing about this study for us as bodybuilders. The study was done on a population of people from the ages of 50 to 65, for one. And the idea that they're trying to propose is that the main mechanism in causing cancer is that protein creates a higher presence of insulin-like growth factor 1, IGF-1, in the bloodstream. IGF-1 is produced by the liver, and it works with human growth hormone to help with protein uptake. And so when you're a kid, you really need IGF-1 and human growth hormone to grow. And then as a young adult, it helps you to build muscle, which is what we're all looking for. But when you're older and your activity level slows, then you don't really need a whole lot of IGF-1 or growth hormone in your bloodstream, or when you're middle-aged. So there becomes an abundance, and they say that creates an increased risk of cancer. Interestingly enough, your own IGF-1 production slows after the age of 65, and they found that people over the age of 65 could actually benefit and decrease the risk of mortality when they are that old, over age of 65. So there's kind of a dual sword here. For people between the ages of 50 and 65, increased animal protein intake showed a higher risk of death. But for us as younger people, especially people who train, IGF-1 is an extremely important thing if you want to build muscle. Now, we all know that bodybuilders take HGH and IGF-1. As natural bodybuilders, what you do, I'm not saying I'm natural, I'm saying for those of you who are natural bodybuilders, these compounds, the naturally produced compounds, are still very, very important for you. Important for your muscle growth, important for your ability to put on muscle without taking any types of drugs. So meat is going to be an extremely important thing for those of you who are natural bodybuilders. Even if you're a vegetarian bodybuilder, even if you're a vegan bodybuilder, IGF-1 is still going to be important, and so you're still going to want some increased level of that at some level. I'm not sure what vegan sources will increase your IGF-1 levels. Maybe somebody can educate me on that. But that is still going to be a factor on whether you get muscular or not. The biggest problem I have with this study is the fact that they did not control for exercise. They did not control for resistance training or even cardio training. So that variable was completely left out, and that variable is increasingly getting left out in a lot of studies. So what I would say to all of you is you don't necessarily have to put your steaks and chicken breasts down. You don't necessarily have to cut your protein intake down to their recommended level, which is about 40 to 50 grams for the average person per day. What I would say is you keep your levels to what studies have shown have been beneficial for resistance trained athletes, which is between 0.8 and 1.25 or 1.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight per day. I know that's controversial amongst some people, but those are what the studies I've read as far as resistance trained athletes and the benefits that they can garner from protein say. So if you guys got any questions, comments on any of this, hit me up. You put your comments below. I will put the study that I mentioned in the summary, the summary section below. And then I think I'm talking kind of funny today. I think it's just fucking weird. I don't know. Anyways, hit me up if you got questions. Put your comments below. My email address is gettingitshredded@gmail.com. It's all letters, no numbers. There is no number 2 in there. And I'll put that below as well for all of you. Peace out.